Folks, welcome into That Betting Show for May 2nd, 2019, your one-stop shop for all your sports betting needs. He's Teddy Savranti. Give him a follow on Twitter at Teddy_covers. I'm Donnie Seymour at Rightside VP. Teddy, let's get right into it. Last night, the Trailblazers get defensive in Game 2 and even up the series versus the Nuggets. Key ingredient here, the Blazers hold the Nuggets to 35 points in the first half. Game easily stays under the total. And from jump, Portland was in control of this ball game. Impressive. Now going to head back to Portland, Teddy. Even.
Yeah, sure. And last night's game had everything to do with the fact that the Nuggets couldn't hit the broadside of a barn throughout the course of the contest. 35 points in the first half. That, I believe, a season low, certainly a low in 2019. For the game, 20% from three-point range? You're not going to win a whole lot of playoff games when you're shooting 35% from the floor and 20% from beyond the arc. Now, the one thing Denver did do that's a little bit scary for Portland moving forward, they had 14 offensive rebounds in the fourth quarter. Didn't make any putbacks. The quote from Terry Stotts. The good news is that they had all those offensive rebounds. They didn't convert a lot. They were 8 for 24 on second chance points. We were fortunate. We came away not hurt as badly as we could have on the offensive board. So that's something that Portland has to fix prior to Game 3. All that being said, the Blazers won a road game on a night where Damian Lillard, 14 points on 5 of 17 shooting. That's impressive for Portland moving forward, no question. And now we've seen a dramatic odd shift for this series. Right now, we're seeing the Blazers as the chalk, which they weren't after Game 1 or prior to the series.
Yeah, how about that, Teddy? Blazers favored by 4 as we do a look ahead there. Over under total at 215.5. We talked about it a couple days ago because the Nuggets more running on adrenaline there, Teddy. So you had that, long layoff for the Trailblazers. The Nuggets closed out the Spurs. They move on quickly within a day and a half and play the Trailblazers, play them well and win in that game. And then you saw, that adrenaline sort of wear off and the Trailblazers came out and were the better team last night, which I know some people did expect that. But when you have the more rested team, sometimes it takes a day or two to get that rolling. Now you're looking forward going back to Portland. Do we think it's going to even out now? I mean, it's always hard to win in the playoffs on the road. But now that this series is sort of even out, maybe the pressure goes away from who's rested and who's not. Do you look forward to maybe the Nuggets getting back underway here? Because they do have to take one of these games up in Portland, Teddy.
I would expect Denver to win one of the 2 games in Portland. I'm not convinced it's going to be Game 3 necessarily, but I do think that this series goes back to the Pepsi Center tied at 2-2. And we talked about this on yesterday's show. Denver, after the Game 7, and then a short turnaround Game 1, where they win both of those games, we worried about the exhale, and certainly the first half for the Nuggets last night, that's not Denver basketball on either end of the floor. They exhaled, and it showed, and it cost them a game.
Ted, if we were just reading names yesterday, as we talked about on That Betting Show just yesterday, line dropping. Wait a second. Corey Kluber, previous Cy Young Award winner. Caleb Smith, Miami. This team stinks. Well, there was a reason why that line dropped 40 to 50 cents yesterday, and Caleb Smith was sensational yet again, Teddy, giving up 1 solo blast, going 7 innings. The Marlins take it home 4-2, but even a worst-case scenario, when we previewed a lot of these baseball divisions early in the year on That Betting Show, it was one to say, hey, look, Cleveland's probably going to win this division just by default. Now you lose Kluber to a broken arm, no timetable when he's going to come back. The offense still not there for the Indians, but let's not take away Caleb Smith, one of those gems, Teddy, not a lot of people quite know about yet.
And, well, the betting markets know about him. We saw, obviously, a 40-cent line move against Cleveland yesterday. And, Kluber got hurt in the game, hit by a line drive, and that was that for him, and that was the end of the Indians' chances in the contest. But make no mistake about it. This is a Miami team. They have 9 wins on the season. They've won each of Caleb Smith's last 4 starts. Something to pay attention to. And believe me, the betting markets aren't sleeping on this guy. I wouldn't be shocked at all to see a significant price tag attached to Caleb Smith next time he's on the hill. Another impressive outing yesterday. And for Cleveland, well, we handed the division to the Indians before the season started. Minnesota may have something to say with that. Have something to say about that before this season is through.
Yes, they will, Teddy. And we joked a couple weeks ago about Snell getting out of the shower and just out of nowhere trying to move some granite rocks around his or granite fixtures around his bathroom. But looks like the Kansas City Royals have a little bit of momentum towards this guy, Teddy. Back-to-back starts for Snell coming off of that short break with the broken toe. Only goes 3 innings each, and yesterday's a heavy favorite on the road in Game 2 of a doubleheader. Got shelled for 7 earned runs. Really interesting to watch this. And look, the momentum last year from being a Cy Young Award winner coming into the season, sensational. Could the broken toe granite fixture be the change in his season, Teddy?
Yeah, it already has. 7 earned runs. He only faced 18 batters yesterday and gave up 7 earned runs. That's not pretty for last year's Cy Young Award winner, for the guy who was as dominant as any pitcher in baseball through his first few starts of 2019. Now it's back-to-back games where he got lit up, okay? And when you talk about a broken toe, we don't think a lot about toes and pitchers as, okay, this matters. You know what? When you think about how the pitcher winds up, where his feet are planted, all the different factors that go into your body being able to throw a 95-mile-an-hour fastball, Snell's not right now. I expect the markets to react accordingly next time he hits the hill. But back-to-back starts where he's had a problem. The broken toe, not one of those injuries for Blake Snell where, it feels better, I'll get back on the mound, everything's fine. It's clearly not that way for Tampa's ace.
Teddy, in the NHL, sometimes you just got to throw out regular season statistics. You just got to throw out where teams are seeded. How about the Hurricanes taking a 3-0 commanding lead with getting another win last night? Even with Peter Mrazek, the starter, out of the lineup, McElhinney comes in and stops 28 shots, 2-2 game entering the third period. 3 unanswered goals by the Hurricanes, now on the brink of elimination and taking control. How about this, Teddy? Going into Game 4, a 131 favorite to close it out with a 4-0 sweep.
Yeah, I mean, we saw the line look really short yesterday, and I had the opportunity to talk to a couple of odds makers in town who said it was nothing but public money on the Islanders. I don't get involved with a lot of hockey wagers. Even I was tempted to get to the window last night on Carolina, and obviously the 3 unanswered third period goal. I'll tell you what, here in Vegas, we don't mind seeing Barry Trotz lose. The Islanders have been an overachieving team. Obviously, they're coming back to earth at the wrong time for their backers, and at the wrong time for last year's Stanley Cup winner, Barry Trotz.
Segment number 2, overnight line movers, Teddy. We're going to hit a little bit of Major League Baseball. 6-day games today, Teddy, that are taking place on Getaway Day. Watching right now, Ian Kinsler just hit a solo blast for San Diego to take a quick lead over Atlanta. And then obviously the other game going on right now as we tape is Cincinnati and the New York Mets. Cardinals look to topple another ace. And yesterday, some weird things went down in the Washington game to start off, Teddy. We had a late scratch to Juan Soto, who is their left fielder, which moved Victor Robles out of his center field position over to right field. In the first inning, you saw pay dividends right away for the Cardinals as Robles misplayed a 5-ball, which led to 3 runs, which is all that Scherzer gave up last night. But taking a look today, offshore opens up around 160, dropped to 140. But as we look on SBRodds.com right now, Teddy, a little bit of a rebound here. Washington up to minus 153, minus 155 across the board. Hudson versus Strasburg today, Teddy.
I mean, you can understand why the money's coming against the Nationals right now. And yeah, we've seen a little bit of buyback because Strasburg priced so cheaply against Hudson. Dakota Hudson's not someone who the betting markets love right now. But there's no question these are 2 teams headed in the opposite directions right now. You talked about the injuries for Washington. They're missing 3 of their 4 starting infielders from opening day. You know what I mean? It's not you're throwing bad outfield defense, and that's a problem even for their aces, throwing a bad Nats bullpen. They're throwing a Nats lineup that isn't hitting without all of those starters in. And as you mentioned, Scherzer, okay yesterday, once he got out of the first inning, but the Cards hit him. Strasburg today, they may hit him as well. St. Louis, those bats are on fire right now. I can certainly understand why the money's coming on the Cardinals. They're a better team than the Nationals right now, even though Strasburg is one of Washington's aces.
Teddy, we've been talking game shows here on That Betting Show over the past couple weeks with Jeopardy. Now we're going to play another game show. The Price is Right in Chicago tonight, or is it? It's May the 2nd. We're supposed to have the flowers out. We're supposed to have the, showers passing by, 70 to 75 degrees as we move on the summer. 45 degrees tonight. First pitch is what we're looking at tonight, Teddy, between the Battle of the Sox, the Red Sox and the White Sox. Price versus Giolito. As we look right now on SBRodds.com, we're now pushing over $2. Price now showing up minus 204, minus 205, minus 202s across the board. That's a heavy price to pay. But again, Chicago still in that polar vortex, it seems, Teddy.
Yeah. The Red Sox are kind of still in a polar vortex. They're still 3 games under 500 right now, although they have notched 3 straight wins as they begin this 7-game road trip. Andrew Benintendi, quote, I think we're headed in the right direction. I'm sure there's a lot of things we can improve on. Take it one day at a time. Just keep grinding and hopefully keep winning. Manager Alex Cora talking about the little things that they did right to win the last 3 games. That's how it starts. You start doing the little things, then little by little, probably good things are going to happen. They're buying into doing anything possible to get a win. Just do your part. And then they know if we start doing the little things, big things are going to happen. So there is momentum for Boston right now. And I'll tell you what, I'm not sure the markets are real excited about Giolito. Coming off the injured list to start today's game. He wasn't supposed to start. They just announced it last night. And he hasn't pitched since he got a hamstring injury in the third inning back on April 17th against Kansas City. Worth noting, Giolito does have a pretty good track record against Boston. He got a start last year, gave up just 1 run in 6 1/3 against the Red Sox.
Angels going for the sweep against the Blue Jays. Teddy Stroman came in hot last night, and the Angels cooled him off, seeing a little bit of line movement today. The Angels now sitting at minus 153 with Skaggs on the mound, a total of 8.5. Let's see if they can pull off the sweep here, Teddy, because if we go back to the Blue Jays, previous, having a nice run now going on West Coast, cooling off a little bit here.
Yeah. And Toronto's only been swept 1 time all season. That came at Cleveland back in early April when they were really struggling. They were off to that 3-8 start. But they have been swept on the road, so it does happen. That being said, the market's moving towards Tyler Skaggs here. And Skaggs' second start back after missing 2 weeks because of a sprained ankle. First start back, no runs, 3 hits, 5 innings. The results look good. His quote gives me a little pause. His quote, a little bit rusty. I missed a lot of spots. Luckily, they didn't hit that many mistakes. That's not necessarily a bet on quote for me, but the markets like Tyler Skaggs a lot, and they certainly don't like Aaron Sanchez, even though Sanchez has pitched really well. His last 3 trips to the hill, in terms of getting out of trouble, he's a pitcher who has a tendency to walk batters. The advanced metrics mean that they hate the walks, and the money tends to flow against guys like Aaron Sanchez because of that high walk rate.
Yeah, Trout still stays hot yesterday, Teddy. Nice 3-run double in that game. One of those guys that's worth his weight in gold. We see it opposite right now. Manny Machado, so-so numbers. Bryce Harper, so-so numbers. That huge contract to Trout seems like he's still underpaid, which is amazing. We'll see what happens tonight in that game. Watch what you bet on that betting show, Teddy. Big game 3 in the city of brotherly love tonight between those Raptors and those Sixers. If we take a look at SBRodds.com, usually, an hour or two, a few hours after the game, since it is the playoffs, those numbers start showing up. And we talked about, Teddy, the Philadelphia 76ers actually opened as a favorite offshore of minus 1.5. That's completely swung over to the Raptors, now showing the Raptors as a favorite, minus 1.5, with even some juice out there, minus 115 to Chris, minus 115 at betonline.ag. And if we look at the total here, Teddy, 215, 216s offshore, now raising up to 217 across the board. Tonight, 8 p.m., the Raptors are 42-45 against the number on the season, 21-21 against the number on the road. And how about this, Teddy? 4-8 against the number as a road favorite of 6 points or less. If we flip it over to the 76ers, 43-46 against the number, 12-14 on the season as a dog, and 23-21 against the number. Pivotal game 3, Philadelphia tonight.
And this isn't one of those little line moves. One book opened with Philly minus 1.5. No. Mm-hmm. Both here in Vegas and offshore, all the books opened with the Sixers as chalk, and all the books now have the Sixers as dogs. Some of that, certainly Toronto's track record off a poor performance. They're 18-7, straight up a loss this year. Not a team that's gone on anything resembling a losing streak. And there are some concerns about Philly they've been shorthanded without Mike Scott in the series. He's out with a heel contusion. He didn't practice yesterday. Embiid still hampered by the sore left knee. And the markets look at Toronto as being the better of these two teams, even after Philadelphia's Game 2 victory. Jimmy Butler, after the win, quote, I think we just did our job. Everybody wants to paint a picture that we haven't won here in however many years. I'm just glad we came out on top going home. We need to do the same thing we did tonight. Now, Philly's bench was supposed to be a problem area for them in this series. That has not been the case. James Ennis coming off a brilliant performance. Greg Monroe, who came in and backed Embiid 10 points and 5 boards. Butler, quote, they came in and made shots, but more than anything, they were guarding. Tobias Harris. The whole game was a good momentum swing for us as a team. We came in with a game plan. An adjustment was made, and we executed it. We did it very well. That was big for us, big for our confidence. We got to go back home and be able to protect our court. Boy, this feels like a 7-game series. And in general, these Eastern Conference series, I'm thinking zigzag. I know zigzag overall is not a profitable strategy, but these are very evenly matched teams. All that being said, the better bet might be for Game 4, whoever loses tonight. And again, we're recording this on Thursday. Game 4 is over the weekend. Be aware, the loser of Game 3 looks to me like a definite bet on team in Game 4, assuming there are no injury issues. I do think this series is going to go back and forth.
Yeah, Raptors game plan worked out very well in Game 1. You saw Brett Brown make the adjustments in Game 2. Nick Nurse, we'll see if he can rebound with the Game 3 game tonight, so it will be interesting to watch. NHL hockey, Teddy. Jackets look for a 3-1 commanding lead over those Bruins. No discipline for Brad Marchand in the rabbit punch, as we like to say in boxing, to the back of the head of a Columbus Blue Jackets player. When we take a look, it was as high as 131 this morning, Ted. We are seeing a little bit of a buyback here on SBRodds.com, minus 127, minus 124, even minus 120 showing up across the board with a total of 5.5. It's Rask versus Bobrovsky tonight.
Yeah. Do you want to step in front of Columbus right now? I don't want to step in front of Columbus right now. They won 13 of the last 15. Okay. They swept Tampa in the first round. They put this 107-point Boston team back on their heels. You know, the trade deadline acquisition of Duchesne, quote, I'm not surprised. This is definitely what we're capable of. The guy's been a monster so far here in the postseason. Now, the one thing the Bruins haven't done, they haven't done anything on the power play in this series. They scored 7 goals against Toronto in 16 chances. So far, just 1 of 10 opportunities against the Blue Jackets. The quote from Bergeron, quote, I think we've got to execute better. That's the bottom line. The plays we want to make are there in a way, but I think we're forcing a lot of them too. We just got to go back to taking what's there in front of you. I'm not sold on Boston here. Columbus has been the undervalued commodity, but what do I know about hockey? You tell them that Columbus is going to win. I can't do it.
Let's do it. Take Columbus, Teddy. We're telling everybody out there to ride that Columbus Blue Jackets wave, getting to the Eastern Conference Finals for the first time in their careers, or should I say in their short franchise careers. Should be interesting to watch. NBA playoffs, Teddy, not enough for you, not enough for me. Only one game tonight. Sure, let's just fire up the rumor mill once again for the summer, which never ends. Can you picture it, Teddy, in the NFL, in the playoffs? We have the first wild card round, divisional round, championship rounds, talking about, hey, next year is Aaron Rodgers going to go down to be a Miami Dolphin? Is Tom Brady going to retire? Is this player moving on? Well, in the NBA, they do that. Durant and Kawhi all of a sudden link towards the Nets as they're trying to make a run towards a championship this year. Where's Kyrie going? We don't know. How about Tobias Harris playing for the Sixers? Yeah, I'll look at the Nets next year. It's unbelievable when you take a look at the NBA, how they fire up these camps and get these rumor mills going. 2 months left in the playoffs. I'm sure we'll hear everybody, Teddy, being traded in the offseason. This is what happens when we only have one game available tonight. We might as well fire up that trade mill.
Yeah, and let's be real, there's only 6 weeks left in the playoffs. It's not a full month left for the NBA. But this Raptors-Sixers series, okay, the loser of this series, that team's getting blown up, all right? Whether it's Tobias Harris and Jimmy Butler, bye-bye, whether it's Embiid, all right, I don't know what we're going to do with him. JJ Redick needs a contact extension too. I mean, if Philly doesn't get out of the second round, that team's gone. It's the exact same story in Toronto. Okay, Kawhi going to stick around if the Raptors don't get out of the second round? I don't think so. The Raptors don't think so. So for all the talk off the court, what really matters is what's going on the court. The winner of this series, there's hope for the future. The loser of this series may well be entering into rebuild mode sooner rather than later. Fascinating behind-the-scenes circumstances. And let's pay attention to body language and the team chemistry. We're watching these games. There may be some edges when it comes to that.
Teddy, this series is almost like bowling, trying to pick up the spare, because you need the 2 pins that you're trying to knock down. So if you roll the ball down there and drill the one team out of the playoffs, the pin goes over, and what happens next year? You knock players off the team as well. It's a very astute call by you there, because you're right. If it goes down, Kawhi's probably going to end up in L.A. or move on, and then the Philadelphia 76ers will say, hey, look, the coach might be out the door. These players might be out the door. So a lot going on right here. One thing you know for sure, it's a guaranteed strike right here on That Betting Show with Donnie and Teddy. Thank you for tuning in for May 2nd, 2019, your one-stop shop for all your sports betting needs. And today, yes, in under 20 minutes. He's Teddy Savransky. Once again, give him a follow on Twitter at Teddy_covers. I'm Donnie Seymour, Right Side VP. We'll be back tomorrow to bring you and get you ready, and maybe a little bit of Derby talk tomorrow. Join us tomorrow. Cash your tickets tonight, folks. Thank you.